nothing wrong with being the pupil, Craig.
Yeah, maybe you'll surpass him someday, but for right now, he is the master.
Fuck, I don't want him to be the master.
Why?
Because he'll roll with an iron fist. Have you seen Yuki's training regiment? That would be Zach.
That's why he should be the master. He's gonna put you
exactly.
through the fucking, like, just put you through the hoops. Hello and welcome to The Box, the Annie chat box, where 5 friends snuggle up in a teeny tiny space to talk about all things anime. My name is Cassie, and I will be joining you as the host for episode 107. Very excited about it. But before we get started with everything we have on our plate today, I'm going to go ahead and introduce everybody that's here with me now. Down the hallway, we have the dad of the podcast, good old Gregory.
When did I become the dad of the podcast?
You just were. You just have.
I made this. I got this down pat. You're the dad.
Okay.
Cammy is the mom.
Okay.
I'm the older sister.
Yeah.
Okay.
And John is the younger brother. I wasn't a part of the.
You can be the middle child.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, that's who you are.
Okay.
Speaking of the little brother of the podcast, across the ocean, we have Jonathan Joestar.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, hello. And to my immediate left, sitting right beside me, for now and hopefully the rest of my life, is my newly fiancéed Dominic.
Damn, that was smooth.
Right?
That was real smooth.
I just came up with that on the fly, too.
You improv that shit. I'm impressed.
Aw, yeah. Happy little announcement before we get started, but I proposed to the lovely Dominic exactly about almost a week ago. Like 6 days ago.
Yeah.
So yay, happy news.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I just wish Cammy was here because I know she'd be very excited about it.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll announce it then too.
She'd make all her little cute squealing noises and it would be quite adorable.
I'll introduce you as my fiance from now on. She'll get her opening. But that being said, Cammy is not here today. She is buried in tons and tons of schoolwork, so she'll be joining us next week because we've missed her a whole lot. She hasn't been here for a few weeks, and we can only go with Cammy or without Cammy for so long before it becomes complete anarchy. So she has to come back.
Yeah.
But anyway, while we're missing Cammy, we also decided today that we were going to roll out some topics, or today specifically one topic that our Patreon Paul requested, and that is anime you wish or were glad to be around for during its initial run, release, and why. And he also mentioned that nowadays, thanks to streams and Crunchyroll and Funimation and Netflix and all those other good little sections of the internet we use to procure our anime, it's a lot easier to catch things as they're starting, but I thought that we could say why that's a good thing or a bad thing, and also maybe some things that we wish we were around for back in the day. So yeah, that was a whole big ball of stuff that just came out of my mouth, and hopefully it made sense.
I have a few.
Okay. Well,
I thought a little bit about this when I saw.
Okay, well, we'll let you get started then. Take over.
I will.
Go.
So one of the first ones I followed, like, kinda around the time when it was airing. I can't remember if it wasn't when it started, but I at least picked it up relatively close to the end of its run, but was Gurren Lagann. When that was airing, it was really fun to be just a part of the conversation, and this was sort of when I was in high school, and I remember, like, not many people, like, nobody knew what Gurren Lagann was, so I remember coming to school and, like, talking to Zach, and be like, Zach, you have to watch this anime. It's amazing. And I think I got, like, our entire friend group into this show, because nobody, knew anything about it. The popularity hadn't exploded yet. And I remember that got Zach like researching all these other old robot shows, and it was, like a big downward spiral from there. So I'm happy to at least have been a part of that around the time when it was happening. Another one that I remember fondly, even though I don't like this show, is Code Geass R2. Eventually it got to the point where I stopped watching it like subbed, and I just went online. And what we do is back then when certain stuff would air, sometimes there would be like streams of it airing in Japan, like from like a Japanese stream essentially. So you would basically watching the anime raw as it was airing. And we did that for Code Geass R2 because the plot in that show was so completely bonkers that you didn't really have to know exactly what was being said to have a good time. So that was something we did with that show, and it was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess the last one for me is much more recently, which is Go Princess Precure. It was just a lot of fun to follow. Like, I'd been following Precure since before that, but that season in particular was just a lot of fun for me to sit down and talk about, and it's where I gained a lot of my friends on Twitter was during that time. Just talking about Precure and getting involved with everybody in that fandom. So that was fun.
Is there anything that you wish you'd been around?
That I wish I'd been?
Yeah, like you watched it and you were like, man, I wish I had watched this as it was airing. Have you ever had that? While you think about that, how about we go around to somebody else?
Yeah, I'm also struggling to... I know there are some that I was like, I wish I had actually watched this as it was airing. But I can definitely think of a few that I did catch as they were airing. Although, going back to you mentioning Gurren Lagann, I remember when that blew up while I was at uni. And one of the guys, the chairman from the anime club that year, actually turned around to me and was like, "Are you watching Gurren Lagann?" And it was like, "No, never heard of it." And it's like, "I would think you would like it. You need to watch it. It's the best thing ever." And then I think it was like a few episodes in at that point, but I quickly got caught up and watched it as it was coming out at that point. Yeah,
that was me, the guy being like, "Oh my god, you gotta watch it!" Yeah, to like basically everyone.
But yeah,
do you have any other new ones?
A newer one.
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be newer. I just meant not Dominic's answer.
I'm really glad that I was around at least initially for Sword Art Online when that first started airing. Even though I actually lost internet while it was airing, so that's why I ended up getting to the light novels and sort of flew past where the anime was at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I really deep dove into Sword Art Online when that was airing. I'm also pretty sure that I was around when Fate Stay Night, the original Dean Stay Night, I guess, was airing. Although admittedly I can't remember how I got into that. I think it might have just been a bit of a whim, as like it showed up sort of on my feed and I was like, what is this? I will give it a check just to see out of curiosity, and got really into it.
Mm-hmm. And that was also around the time it was airing, I'm assuming?
I'm pretty sure it was.
For something that's super, super recent, I am so excited that I'm getting to watch Sarazen Mai as it's airing.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like the first Ikuhara show where I've been able to do this. So I'm part of the discourse. I'm getting to watch people theory craft in the moment and also getting to have the what the fuck tweets with everybody else. Like, it's just so fun. Whereas as much as I love Penguin Drum and Yuri Kuma and Utena even, I didn't get to watch those as they were airing. I think Penguin Drum I caught a few, but I think that was around the time when I was actually starting to understand exactly what, legal streaming was or what torrents were. So But God, because Ikuhara is my favorite director. Either him or Satoshi Kon. Different day you could ask me the question, and that's flip flops back and forth. But I love them both so much, and actually getting to be like watching something as it's coming out is some of the like most unbridled joy I've had in seasonal anime. I'm very excited about it.
Admittedly, when I saw this this topic, I didn't really have anything. Like, I tried thinking about this, and like, I didn't really use Twitter to aggregate like opinions on anime. I just kind of watched them as they went along. I suppose, like, in the circles of friendships, something that kind of like people spoiled, and then I kind of got into because of such spoilers, was Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Just kind of our friend Brendan said, "Yo, Craig, there's some crazy stuff happening in Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood," and I even said this in Boxbit's special, but I'll reiterate here, where I was like, "Oh, Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, it's halfway through its life, or its episode run. It's just essentially Fullmetal Alchemist 2003 all over again. Why do I need to watch this?" No, you need to watch this because it's hype. It's got the different origins of the homunculi, etc., etc. And then I was like, okay, that's a moment to kind of share, and then kind of be the guy to Zach actually and say, "Yo, you should watch this." And then me and Zach actually finished watching all 64 episodes of that show. I suppose in the spoiler bros, I don't want to be spoiled, and I'm glad that I'm watching this weekly, is anything anime adjacent. Going back to last week's episode, anything
of course
dealing with Kamen Rider. I now that I know what the frack Twitter is used for, and if you follow enough people will post screen caps of it. Not Dom in this case, but also Dom. I don't want to be spoiled on that, so it's also fun.
So you keep up weekly.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah. Same with Game of Thrones, by the way. If you ever get into that fandom, beware every Sunday night. It is a minefield.
Actually, Craig, I'm really excited that you brought up Fullmetal Alchemist, because if anybody knows me outside of the podcast, you probably know me from the editing sphere, the AMV community, or something else attributed to it. And I've always gone by Alchemy Mini because Fullmetal Alchemist was my first real favorite anime.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I actually had a comprehension of what anime was, and it's really the gateway to me becoming obsessed. And that was the original Fullmetal Alchemist when it was first airing on Adult Swim a gajillion years ago. I was glued to my TV like every weekend when it aired, and I watched the whole thing as it was airing on American television. Which is really hilarious because your feelings towards Brotherhood, I feel like we had the exact same result, but for completely different reasons, because I held off on watching Brotherhood, not because I was like, oh, it's just the same thing over again. I was like, oh no, they're going to take my favorite anime and they're going to ruin it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I finally watched Brotherhood after I got over myself a few years later, and it was really damn good. I think that both series are good.
Yeah,
and
totally
you
different.
should watch both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're both great and they both have different endings, but I actually loved both of them.
Yeah.
And it's very rare that I like an anime only ending or original ending, and the original for Fullmetal Alchemist I think did an okay job. And Brotherhood also is really satisfying from beginning to end, so I recommend both. And I have an answer for both of them, which is great. One of them I watched while it was airing, and the other one I held off forever for. And I kind of wish I did watch it while it was airing, because I probably would have been super hype every week, but...
Yeah.
I watched Brotherhood while it was airing, so... I never saw the original. That was the other thing, is I'm different in that. So, and I'm kind of... every time I see or anime original stuff from the original, I'm like, that looks a little weird. Not sure I want to touch that, but...
I might have to pencil that down for a host choice.
Yeah, keeping up with Brotherhood every week was a blast.
I'm sad I couldn't be a part of that.
You know what? I think I'm gonna have to put down both Fullmetal Alchemist as series as things I wish I'd watched as they were airing, because I didn't see either as they were airing. I think
that's a
I
bummer.
think I watched the first couple of episodes of Brotherhood when it was airing. But then I kind of had the same, like, oh, it's just the original all over again. This is boring. And kind of kicking myself for that now. Because eventually I did go back and watch all of Brotherhood all the way through. If I had actually gotten past that initial reaction, I think I would have really enjoyed Brotherhood as it was airing. But again, the original series I didn't watch as it was airing. That was something I went back and watched all the way through.
I guess for me, really seeing a lot of dramas or kind of sports shows as well. I guess really this all boils down to what are your friends watching? What is everyone you follow online watching? The zeitgeist effect of what is the quote unquote hype thing? Like seasonal anime, you get to see, well, this season anyway. I see a lot of Demon Slayer, Yaiba. I see a lot of Fruits Basket. Like I see people who are really into Kuroko no Basket or Haikyuu or again anything Ikuhara, and just seeing everyone melt, their minds melt as they're posting their theories online and fan art be submitted. It's a good way to get into a fandom slash the zeitgeist of a show and add to the discussion. But also could be like if you're get to it way late. Again, spoiler bros.
Well, I mean, there's also, if you get into it late, where's the discussion at that point? Is anybody even still talking about it anymore? And that's something that's become more of a more prevalent in recent years because we have access to the seasonal anime as it's airing in Japan over here thanks to streaming services.
Mm-hmm.
So it's great because so many more people can be part of the discussion, but the discussion also moves on that much quicker.
Yep.
Because I think back in the day, it was, hey, you and your high school lunch table had a small anime meeting or whatever with whatever you were watching at that time, and you tried to get everybody else to watch it. Or, oh, hey, I picked up Haruhi Suzumiya in the FYE the other day, and it looked like anime, so I watched it. Hey, guys, everybody should watch this.
Yep.
That was me in high school. Whereas now it's like, hey, guys, we have 30 anime to look at a season, and here's what everybody else is watching, and it's just it's simultaneously amazing and overwhelming.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
It's very easy to end up overlooking something that's not necessarily popular but might actually resonate with you really well, like just because it's being overlooked by everyone else, but it could be something that you really enjoy, but because everyone else is overlooking it, you end up overlooking it because it's not getting the numbers.
Also, with more like light novels and manga available, this isn't really the topic, but just to bring it up, that's another way where you could get, easily spoiled about something before it airs. And there's a part of me that's like, you know what? I love the Promised Neverland manga, and I marathoned it, and I'm still marathoning it. Every couple chapters that come out, I'll just sit and have a little mini marathon on the train. But I wish that I could have held off and watched The Promised Neverland as it was airing in anime form, because there's just so much more to add to the creepy atmosphere in the anime that I really appreciate looking at, but I'm like, oh man, this would have hit so much harder if I didn't already see everything coming.
Yeah, Zach has the same
so
problem.
there's that as well. Well, I mean, but I'm different in Zach that I can get over that and still appreciate what's going on. He's just like, I read the manga, so I'm never gonna watch it, and it's like, oh man.
Yeah.
I can appreciate both. It's just, it's a different. I wish there's some shows that I wish I didn't know anything going in. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. I read all of JoJo as it was in the manga well before the anime started.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some parts where I kind of wish I hadn't read them in the shitty quality that I did. Because at the time it wasn't an official, there was no official release for the JoJo manga. So, and a lot of the translations for certain parts were like really bad.
Oh yeah.
Or the quality of the art was bad. So that in impacted my enjoyment of those parts quite a bit, especially the more fight-focused parts, like Part 3 and Part 5, which have a lot more, like, just battle after battle after battle after battle.
Yep.
So, and those are the two parts that I think at the time had, bad scanlations. So, I remember watching Part 3 animated and enjoying it a lot more than I did reading it the manga. But I think I would, and the same is kind of going for Part 5 right now, but I wish I hadn't read the manga at all, just so that enjoyment had been amplified, at least for those parts.
Yeah, it's like the anime is still good. You're still enjoying it. You're still going to watch it, but it's like, man, I wish this was my first experience with it. And sometimes that happens in the reverse order, too, where I'm like, oh, man, I wish I would have read the manga first. So it just, like, for example, for me, that's how Hoseki no Kuni is, Land of the Lustrous, because I was pretty hot and cold with that anime. I understood why it was good, but it just didn't mesh with me very well. Whereas I read the first couple chapters of the manga, and I'm like, wow, the way this looks and how just the creepy atmosphere is done so much better in the manga.
Body horror, too.
Yeah, so it's like, man, I wish I had experienced Land of the Lustrous in the manga form first and then watched the anime, because I may have had more of a, like, appreciation for it. So it works both ways.
Yeah.
It's just with anime and light novels and manga being so readily available when it wasn't back in the day, it gives you this feeling that you have to consume more and more and more, and the order sometimes does matter. Manga before anime before manga, and sometimes you just don't know until you give it a taste.
Yeah.
Yeah, that also kind of reminds me of going back to Sword Art Online. Again, I started watching the anime, which got me reading the light novels when I lost my internet. And then I ended up reading the light novels way past where the anime had gotten to, until when I finally got my internet back and got back around to watching it. And then I just continued reading the light novels all the way up to as far as I could get, which was the first volume of the Alicization arc. Now the anime has finally gotten past where I got to with the Alicization arc, and it got to a point where it was like, this is new stuff for me. I am completely blind at this point. And that last episode ended up on a cliffhanger, and I screamed because I don't know what's happening next, and there's not going to be more Sword Art Online until October, I think it was. And I'm just sitting here like, I need to know. But I'm also holding off on reading the light novels because I actually really enjoyed being blind watching the anime. And so I kind of wish I hadn't, but I'm also kind of glad I did read the light novels. I kind of wish I had just, like, read up to where I got to with the anime and didn't read past it, because if that makes sense.
Yeah,
that's kind of like what we were saying too.
Yeah, I'm kind of having the same feelings right now since I started Kimetsu no Yaiba, and I'm like, oh, I really like this show, and I'm like kind of considering reading the manga at some point, but I'm like, oh man, I really, really need to just wait until at least this season ends, and then I can at least experience that chunk, for the first time animated before decidedly, going on to the manga.
It's going to be 26 episodes.
I mean, at least it's 2 core. That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you so much for this topic, Paul. We're excited. We have a couple more from you, and we'll scoot those into some episodes in the near future. We also were trying to fulfill his request to have our pets on the recording, but they're all being surprisingly quiet today.
You didn't take me up on my idea to throw them in the Craig's room, because then they'd be making all the noise.
Maybe next week. We'll bring it back next week, and hopefully they make a little bit more noise. But thank you so much, Paul, for this topic. I think that it really provided some fun conversation and really made me think about things that I didn't think I would think about. So thanks again. We're looking forward to anything else we may get from you in the near future.
Yeah.
But for now, let's go ahead and remove ourselves from that topic and slide ever so gracefully and spy-like into our main review of the day. as if there's other reviews. Oh my god, I'm out of it.
Mm.
But yes, our review for the day is Release the Spyce, something that I passed about a year or so ago. It is done by studio Lay-duce,
Lay-duce.
which is really
Lay-duce.
really fun to say. Other shows by them include Yuru Yuri, Classroom Crisis, and Fate Grand Order First Order.
Ah.
Hey, okay.
Yeah, they've got a surprisingly small catalog, but they seem to pump out things that have at least okay quality for being a newer studio on the block. So let's go ahead and talk about the synopsis, which is short, sweet, and to the point. This series is about a girl named Momo who attends high school at the city of Sorasaki. However, she is secretly a member of Tsukikage, an intelligence agency that protects people. As a new member of the agency, she works alongside her colleagues, including her senior, or Shisho,
Master
Yuki, and friends. Together, they work to establish peace in the city. Guys, let's talk a little bit about Release
the Spyce.
the Spyce. One thing I wanted to do is go ahead and give good old Dominic over here a thank you for making this anime even appear on our radar. When I was picking out shows for this season a gajillion years ago, Release the Spyce was one that Dominic was like, please just put it on your list. I don't care where you put it, just put it on your list. And I ended up getting it, and they were very excited. So I guess technically we both passed this one, even though Dominic wasn't on the podcast yet.
It was my fault it's here.
Yeah, so for better or for worse, it's Dominic's fault.
I mean, I like this show a lot more than I kind of picked it as a joke because it looked kind of stupid.
Mm.
And to be fair, it is stupid.
Yeah, it is stupid, but it's like an enjoyable stupid. So,
and I guess that helps us roll into the story, which I'm going to be honest, it's your typical blockbuster spy drama kind of show. Like, everything... I love you, Craig. Can you do that when we transfer to every single, topic?
I mean,
like
it's like the guitar riff whenever they go into a mission. It's just cheese. It's all cheese.
Yeah.
It's all cheese, and everything that happened in this story, save for a couple of things, I totally saw coming from a mile away. This story is nothing that's to, write home about, but it's fun.
Yeah.
I'll give it that. It's very predictable. One problem I had with the story, and I guess we can all kind of start from where I started and see how you feel about the cheese, but then getting into something that I didn't like, I feel like the villains in this property are basically just mustache twirling villains. There's no real reason they want to take over the world. There's no, real motivation given for the antagonist, which, to be fair, is okay. This story wasn't calling for, an anti-hero or somebody that I needed to feel for, but at the same time, that's a nitpick I have with a lot of shows. So, while it's here, I wasn't offended by it, but it's still there. And it was one of the things that brought the show down a couple pegs for me while I was basically having fun the rest of the way.
Yeah.
What did you guys think about the story?
Yeah. I agree in that it's super cheesy. It pays a lot of homage to old spy movies, and in that way, it's not just action cheese. There's also a lot of really stupid really kind of comical things, goofy things that happen. So in that regard, yeah, I enjoyed that for what it was. I also saw most things that were coming.
Yep.
At least. There's one thing that's hinted at, but there's not enough hints for you to actually make a legitimate, educated guess as to what is actually going to happen.
We might get into that in spoilers, for sure.
But at the end of the day, it's basically it's a popcorn anime. I do agree that the villains are incredibly one-sided and not very interesting at all.
Yeah.
In terms of investment,
they're not multifaceted by any stretch of the imagination.
They're not at all. They're literally just there to be the villains
and look hot. The main antagonist girl is hot.
She is hot.
Her design is nice.
Yeah. But yeah, there's no depth in that aspect. So.
Yeah, for sure. So it's you're happy to see them win, but it doesn't feel as good as if I don't know, I actually felt something was at stake because I'm like, okay, they're going to go in, they're going to win, and how they do it doesn't really matter. They're just going to win the day. So, but you know that going in, so it's almost not even a detriment. It's real. The show is so weird because it's like, there are so many things in the show that would irritate me if it was in a different genre, if that makes sense. Because I went in knowing the show is going to be a stupid spy thriller, so it gave me a stupid spy thriller, and I'm like, can I be mad?
Yeah.
Like...
It sets itself up exactly how... It presents itself exactly how you think it is.
Yeah.
Twists and turns and all.
In that ways, it's very hard to be disappointed if you actually know what you're getting.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, oh, hey... am I going to go get popcorn at the movie theater? And then they give you popcorn at the movie theater. And it tastes like popcorn. And it has butter like popcorn. So I got popcorn. Like, it never tries to be anything more or less than it is. And for that, I both like the show, but also am kind of annoyed because I'm like, there's no reason I'm going to go back and rewatch this show.
Yeah.
Or even really recommend it to anybody. But I also had a really good time. So it's like, I'm so confused.
Cassie's trying to be her usual incredibly harsh critic self and is having a very hard time doing it.
Basically, because there's a lot of shows that are like this and then take themselves way too fucking seriously.
Oh yeah, this has fun.
And that's where I would go off on a tangent. But this show, while it does have moments of drama, it never stays on them long enough for me to be like, wow, you're trying too hard. But again, there are also some plots that I wasn't invested in. For example, there's a girl named Teresia that comes in at some point.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't give a shit about what happened to her.
Damn.
And I feel like her entire plot could have been thrown away and nothing would have changed.
Yeah, I can get that.
And that's kind of the way she's handled is very ham-fisted in. They did go into the backstory of one of the Shishos and like why she is the way she is, but even that was kind of like, it was like, okay, this is here and I accept it and it's not bad, but I don't even really care either, so.
Yeah, I went into the show and I was like, okay, it's supposed to be fun. And I went in and I was like, this show has style, it's fun. Maybe it helps the fact that I watched a bunch of the Mission Impossible movies with Tom Cruise. I've watched James Bond, and I'm like, these girls have gadgets, they all have unique fighting styles and weapons, and I'm just like, okay, cool, they're gonna save the day, they're gonna win. The main antagonist, Morio or whatever, aren't that appealing in comparison, but whatever, they're having a good time.
Yeah, and I think that where it matters, they have fun in an actual crisp way, and I'll get to that when we talk about production. Because I think that the show, for the most part, is very standard fare, but they have some fun with some of the moments, and it looks really nice, but I'll talk about that later. Since the story we've basically beaten the ground, we want to talk about some of our favorite characters and how we felt about characters overall.
Sure. So, my favorite character was Goe, aka Goemon. One quick shout I want to mention is that I think a lot of the nicknames they go by while they're mid-mission are actually reference to famous real-life ninja of the past. I'm pretty sure there was a ninja going by the name of Goemon.
You are correct.
There is, yeah.
And I'm pretty sure one of the girls was referred to as Hanzo.
You are correct.
Yeah, so I haven't quite placed all of the names that they were using, but those are two that I definitely recognize. I really like Goe. There was an episode where she single-handedly took down an entire Yakuza family for reasons.
I remember that.
And that was admittedly what sold me on her, but there was other...
Oh, our other co-host showed up finally. Hi, Tess.
Oh, Tess.
There you go, Paul. There you go.
That's like what, 1 out of 3?
Yeah, 1 out of 3. Come on, we gotta go with the other. We just have to razzle them up or something. Anyway, continue, John.
There were other moments that really made me resonate with her. Like, there's scenes where she comes across as incredibly jealous of another character. And I was just like, I get you. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
liked her a lot too. I especially like how fond she was of her shisho. How very like open-minded she tries to be about Hatsume, but also how very like clingy and jealous she is as well. And I actually, that was one dynamic that I liked that they played around with. I actually really liked that there was a shisho and pupil dynamic between the pairs. I think that added a lot of interesting intrigue for the characters, even though it wasn't really explored there as much as it could have been. But you get a real feeling that those two, even though they out of all the pairs, I feel like got the least like moments.
Yeah.
I feel like they still, it was believable that she really cared for her.
And also, like, she had a moment of hesitation to use her spice at one point because of something that happened previously. And I thought that was a really neat touch. Like, it showed, like, yeah, that bothered her that much.
My favorite character is the self-serious one,
Yuki,
aka Hanzo, the master of the main character, Momo, or Momochi. She's the mom, the serious one, the guy, the lady that, like, gives all the commands and tells everyone what to do. She also, like, she wears an eye patch, or she has, like, one of her eyes closed, which means she's super serious and she has a tragic past.
I also like the one time she opens it and it's like her eye looks fine, and it's
yeah, it's done for like dramatic effect, and then she never opens her eye
and then
again.
she like keeps it closed anyways. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
I feel like most of her lines would have hit with me harder if she delivered them in the pale moonlight. Because she's just that character.
She would love to. Let's be real.
Yeah, she's so chuny. She's so secretly chuny.
She is super chuny.
Ugh. But she's like closet chuny.
I was actually expecting Yuki to be my favorite, and she's a close second, but yeah, I love her. She's great.
Yeah, I just, as soon as I saw her, I'm like, she has a sword, she has the eye that's always closed, she's supposed to be the serious one, but secretly she cares about everyone. Yeah, there you go.
I really like that the thing that she likes to do on the weekends is wake up early and go to the fish market.
Oh, right.
I loved that was her deal. Like, out of all of the characters, she felt really human to me because we didn't get a lot of time off screen outside of the Spies with a lot of the cast. But the few that we did are the ones that I was, like, more attached to, including Yuki.
Mm-hmm.
I like that she had those little quirks. And that I picture that at night she just puts an eye patch on and does poses in her mirror. She just seems like that kind of girl.
Are you sure, though? Because the way I figured, she would just do nothing but squats and push-ups like 24/7 and run miles.
In front of a mirror.
Yes.
Where she does poses.
Yes.
I mean, she never does it in the show, but I just feel like the off-screen time, that's probably what she does. She's just the most chuny one. She just is.
I also love the fact that, like, she's also secretly really nerdy, in that, like, in a flashback she ended up looking up like data about the city and discovered like how much the exports from the city end up contributing to the rest of Japan or something like that, and it made her super proud to be a part of that city as a result.
Listen, a spy has to know every bit of intel on their location, and not only that, if you're gonna be residing in that, you gotta have pride in where you're located. Because everyone else in the show, especially the main characters, like, I love this city, and my dad was a police officer.
Speaking of which, you want to tell us a little bit about Momo?
Oh yeah, she's got pink hair, which is the best. That is the best hair to have.
Is that it? Is that?
I mean, it's anime hair.
I'm just getting started. She has pink hair. Okay, the best hair.
She's got pink hair, and it can only go up from there.
Damn, girl. Look at you with the Dr. Seuss rhymes over here. Anyway.
Oh, God.
Anyways, she has pink hair, and her name is Momo. She's named after Peaches.
Yep.
A+ right there.
Peach-chan.
But also, she's cute and adorable, and she makes funny faces. And I enjoyed her personal journey of kind of learning how to, stand on her own and, gain confidence in herself by not just,
relying on her shisho.
yeah, but also by, doing what she can and failing and learning. So
She also licks people.
Oh yeah, she also has this weird quirk where she like licks people. It's not really done. That's the surprising thing. It's like
Never really used except for really weird moments.
Yeah, and it's also not like you'd think it'd be something like that they would use for like a dumb like sexual or like stupid joke or something, but it's never really used like that. It's just this weird thing where she'll lick someone and like
This is the test of a liar.
Yeah, basically she does that. Yeah, she does that thing from JoJo, and she knows something about someone by licking them.
Apparently,
that's about it.
Apparently, even according to the wiki, and I had to look this up because it's been a while since I've seen the show. Apparently, she's got heightened sense of smell, and I'm like, was she fucking Wolverine from the X-Men?
Yeah, she does. She does track someone by scent at one point as well, doesn't she?
Yeah, I mean that actually makes sense because the better your taste is, the better your sense of smell is. They're linked
next to each other.
And she's got really good eyesight too. She's like those three senses.
She's superhuman, clearly.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's cute. I like her.
She's cute, and I like how her story ended up. The ending credits.
Yeah.
Were really nice. So you really see that she's had growth throughout the series. She also has, outside of Goemon, one of the better fight scenes in the show.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked her final showdown with the Tendo boss in the final couple episodes. It was really nicely choreographed.
That was really kick-ass and really well choreographed, yeah.
I liked it a whole lot. In general, I really also like, I mentioned this before, but I love the master-apprentice relationship between all the characters.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of my favorite master and student relationships was between Mei and her underling, whose name just escaped me. Fumi. Fu-chan. I really liked, I'm a sucker for the whole, we're complete opposites, but that's why we're perfect for each other team.
They hold hands. They hold hands!
And they're one of the few, like, they're one of the few, like, master-apprentice people or relationships that actually has, like, an arc.
Yep.
Yeah.
Of why did they get together? Why did they stay together? Why do they care for each other so much? We didn't get that for Hatsumi and Goe-chan, and that really frustrates me.
Yeah.
And the whole show is, of course, about Momo and Yuki's, and I think that their spy ship kinship is really good. But I don't know, there was just something about those two, and particularly a plot point that happens really later in the show, where I'm like, I just love these two, and Mei is just my beautiful spirit animal. I love how giddy and sometimes over the top that she can be, and how she never does her chores until last minute.
Like you.
And I've gotten a lot better with that, I'll have you know. Or how she really shouldn't buy that ice cream because they're poor, but she bought the ice cream.
Like you.
And now
Like you. Like you.
I really feel
exactly like you.
So wait. Let me get this straight. So are you the guitar girl, or are you the purple hair girl?
The guitar girl.
Okay, you are
Mei.
the guitar girl.
I love her because I feel like I relate to her in a lot of ways. I also just really like her fighting style. I like how she's the upfront one while Fu supports her. And I really wish they'd gone into more of how these girls work dynamically in all of the pairs, not just 2 out of the 3.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really feel like Hatsumi and Goe-chan got like the short end of the stick.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. They weren't a bad pair, don't get me wrong. It's just I feel like I was more intrigued by Mei and Fu because they gave me more to chew on and sit with in this popcorn anime where I'm not supposed to think that much. So if they don't give me something to even barely think about, it doesn't make me want to think about them more, which is why originally I was super intrigued by Hatsume because she's the tech girl.
She's the gadget maker.
I'm always intrigued by the gadget
She's Donatello.
maker. And but then they don't really do a whole lot with her.
No.
They do try, and then she's just kind of shafted for the rest of the show. So
yeah, Hatsume's big issue is that she's tied to
drama.
Teresia.
Yeah,
And that like that's like her arc, I guess, and it's pretty.
And
it's crap.
And Goe is just kind of a little clingy.
Yeah, they're good characters. It's just they didn't get as much spotlight or
an arc.
like depth as anybody else. So I didn't care about them as much, even though they had moments where I was like, aw, you go, you little Viking.
The thing that got me really invested with Goe was kind of standalone for Goe. So,
Yeah.
well, going back to
Hatsume?
not Hatsume.
Oh, the girl I have?
May. I love that there was one scene where she kind of jumped in with a flying kick, yelling, "My name is Bund."
Yeah, she's great. I loved her from the very beginning, and then I just loved her even more. I love May so much, possibly because we're the same person, but she's more athletic and smart. But other than that, we're both terrible roommates.
So when are you going to get your acoustic guitar and start playing for strangers?
Yeah, when are you going to start singing? You have this wonderful singing voice. When are you going to start singing in public?
As soon as Cammy does.
Okay, Cammy, you have to come back to Portland and make a singing duo with Cassie. I'm demanding it. It has to be done.
We could be the next Carol and Tuesday.
Yes.
You gotta watch that show still.
But Cammy has to buy you a pick.
Yeah, she does. You have to... okay, so Cammy, you gotta get me a guitar pick. But first I gotta get a guitar, and that's expensive. Okay, this is already crashing and burning. We almost had a duo team. Sorry, Cammy. You weren't here to defend it, so it's going up in flames.
Damn, that ended quickly.
I wish we had a sixth person here so we could do like a fun little thing where we're like, hey, which of us do you think would pair off and make good Release the Spyce teams? But we have 5 people, not 6. Okay, let's have one of our guest hosts. Okay, Zach or Suki?
Zach.
Okay, so let's put Zach in here. So now we have 6 people. What would our teams be? You know what? Okay, I think I got it. I think me and Dominic are an obvious choice.
Wait, then who's the master and who's the pupil?
I think that you can be the pupil because I've been on the podcast longer.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so, and then I think Cammy and John would be a good team. I think that Cammy would be the she-show, though. Because she's the cute, adorable one that's going to give you all of the tips, John. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Okay, so
that
there we go.
actually sounds very accurate.
Yeah, exactly, right? So then we have Craig and Zach.
Zach is the master.
Why?
because you are always consulting Zach for his anime opinions.
That is true.
And getting all the info from Zach and having him help you pick your top picks. Zach is the master. I'm sorry.
There's nothing wrong with being the pupil, Craig.
Yeah, maybe you'll surpass him someday, but for right now, he is the master.
Fuck, I don't want him to be the master.
Why?
Because he'll rule with an iron fist. Have you seen Yuki's training regiment? That would be Zach.
That's why he should be the master. He's gonna put you through the fucking, just put you through the hoops. And, okay, perfect. These actually make up the team. So, me and you are obviously May and Fu. And then John and Cammy are Hatsume and Goe.
I mean, yeah, basically.
And it's perfect. And then Craig and Zach are Momo and Yuki. It's perfect.
It does work out very well.
Especially because Dominic is always like, Cassie, you shouldn't be eating that ice cream.
Damn it.
And they're right.
Shit.
Yeah.
Cammy and John don't obviously need more screen time.
Yeah.
For real. She hasn't been here in 2 weeks.
She's
come
busy
on.
doing her smart person stuff.
She's the smart person gadget, and you're the one who's like, Cammy, you're so beautiful, and I love Natsume's book of friends now. Let's be best friends. Perfect. And Zach is a slave driver, and Craig will go with it anyway. Boom.
There you go.
Wow.
This is the best segment we've ever had.
I hope he listens to this segment alone.
I really hope so.
Zach listens?
No.
Occasionally he'll listen to us.
Rarely.
Especially if we tell him to. So I'll tell him, hey, check this one out. For the people who are actually here because you're willing to be, thank you for hanging out. This has been really fun. We should probably roll into production. Before we do, the final thing I have to say about characters is they're fun. They have a lot of groundwork here to have really good characters, actually, but unfortunately, some characters don't get as much development to be as much fun as they could have been. That's how I feel about the characters.
Ding 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 ding.
Production! Who wants to go first?
So can I just mention that the music in this show is surprisingly good?
Spa, spa, spa-da-da, spa-da-da-da-da-da.
Like not just the opening or the ending,
Spy
but
in
like
the Spice. No, I agree.
the actual BGM.
Yeah, it's good.
You want to know something funny about that? The composer.
Sure.
The composer. This is the composer's first work.
Wow.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ryohei Sataka, his first only show.
Homeboy knows how to read a mood. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Watched a lot of spy thrillers and just went with it.
Yeah, because a lot of this stuff sounds just perfectly
Yeah,
like
and a lot of
matched
it-
for this anime.
A lot of it is just like it's very like modern as well. I don't know exactly how to describe it in terms of genre because I'm an idiot and don't know anything about music. But yeah, it's just a lot of really more contemporary, sounds and choices made with a lot of the music. That really helps it stand out, but it also just fits really well within the mood of the show.
Yeah, it still fits the spy aesthetic while not being cheesy saxophone music at the same time.
Yeah.
I would have liked a cheesy saxophone track though.
I mean,
Sure,
that would've
yeah.
been nice.
That would have made this like the perfect soundtrack. It's the only thing that you're missing, bro. Take notes. This is your first work. This is how you can improve. Totally listening to our podcast.
But yeah, that opening,
Oh, I love that. That opening was literally stuck in my head for an entire day, and me and John were in a call where, like, literally no conversation was happening because I was also at work, but every once in a while I'd just be like, spa, ba, ba, da, ba, 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 da, ba, da, ba, and I just keep repeating it and saying how it was stuck in my head, and then 10 minutes later I'd do the exact same goddamn thing.
I would be in the background just saying, spice, spice, spice wounds of spice.
I was sitting on till at work and doing the same thing sort of under my breath as I was scanning items.
The ending's actually pretty good too.
I love both.
The ending is good
Yeah.
too.
And they're both not just the sound, that like visually they're really nice openings. I really like in the opening too how it has a lot of like homages again to like old spy flicks that even I could tell like, oh, this is what they're doing right
Yeah.
now. It's pretty neat. And then the ending is just like really appealing. I like how they do the thing where the girls are mouthing the lyrics and
Poppy
all of the-
colors.
all of the pretty colors, how they purposely give you scenes of all of the pairs doing their own thing. I eat that shit up.
Aesthetic.
Yep.
It's aesthetic.
Yeah, there's like a great use of color in both openings too.
Yes, for sure. In regards to the animation in the actual show, it was pretty standard fare for the most part.
Yeah.
But there were a few action scenes where I'm like, okay, Boogie Pop, take notes, because you didn't do any of this. Where some of the fight choreography was splendidly done. Everything else is pretty standard fare, if not below average in some of the scenes where they were just standing and talking.
Yeah, there are a few episodes that look really off. I remember specifically the second to last episode, especially for the second to last episode, looks really weird and off model a lot of the time. And I think there was like one other episode. But I was surprised to see, especially within the first three, that there were like they took a lot of care in the action sequences and the choreography and they showing off every ninja's little, ability or spy's ability, so that was
But one thing I want to say real quick, props to them during the action scenes, save for maybe the cars, no CG.
Yeah, for sure. Or at least it wasn't noticeable.
Yeah, they use CG for like the robots sometimes.
Yeah, they use it for the robots and cars,
whatever,
but like for the actual,
none of the actual characters are drawn in CG, which is nice.
Which is a nice, coming off of Yuki Yuna, is really nice.
I was also I also kept on thinking back to
Funny enough, you mentioned Yuki Yuna, the series composition, and the creator of Yuki Yuna as the hero and Akame ga Kill actually wrote the show / created Release the Spyce. Goes under the pen name Takahiro, and
that's pretty neat.
And the director, Akira Sato. This is really his first series debut. He's really just done key animation and episode directing, random episode directing for like various shows such as Samurai Flamenco and Gangster. So I think I was rather surprised to figure out that Yuki Yuna and Akame ga Kill were by the same person that did Release the Spyce.
Yeah, thinking about Samurai Flamenco, a show that I watched a long time ago and really enjoyed, I'm not surprised to hear about the connection. There's something about Release the Spice that, like, its mood or just the way it's done.
It's shot.
That gives me kind of Samurai Flamenco like vibes.
Toji no Miko, that's the series. Something about, well, there's a few things about Release the Spyce that remind me of Toji no Miko, but even that series uses CG for the characters when they have these sort of like mech armor suits that they sometimes put on, but like the moment they put on those suits, it's instantly the characters are all CG, and it kind of bugged me. So that's why I was like, yay, props to them for not using CG at all for this series. For the characters anyway,
Yeah.
so...
Yeah.
For the characters and during their fight scenes especially the pinnacle ones that I can think of are, for example, when Goe goes on her little rampage, and also one of the final fights between Tendo and Momo is just really well done, choreographed. Another thing that I liked aesthetically and production-wise was that they each had different glowing eyes depending on the spice that they had.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And also the pairs always used the exact same spice.
Yeah.
I thought that was a cute touch. I wish that I got more information on what the spice was or what it does or why it does, but hey, I just kind of was like, I don't need to know, and enjoyed those moments a lot when they would pop a little spice and get their little kick.
Yeah, or rather how it
Yeah.
affects... Well, they do kind of explain how it does affect it, but like the prolonged uses of it, or how it prolonged uses kind of adhere to the body. But, yeah, as you said, it is pretty aesthetic.
Double
and
dipping
how
and why that's bad.
Yeah, to go back to something Craig mentioned when he was doing his little staff thing, the Akame ga Kill thing. I remember when this show like first started, that was a big concern for people because I guess that property has a lot of interesting subject matter. I guess is what I've picked up. I have actually like no experience with it.
It's edge.
But,
it tries to be edgy, and it's got a lot of hot girls, from what I understand.
Lots of fan service.
Yeah, one thing that was actually kind of refreshing about this show is that despite being, an all-girl cast, really, aside from, like, some cleavage shots and some miscellaneous, like, random just girls being in, like, towels in the bath or something, or in, like, a swimsuit, there's not a lot of, like, fan service or really,
Yeah.
like-
And those scenes themselves are few and far between as well.
Yeah, and they're very nonchalant about it. It's not really in your face sort of thing. So I was actually pleasantly surprised with that.
Yeah, there was like a scene that Dominic mentioned that they were about to get on the train or they were watching at work and they were all getting naked to put that like that gloop on them, that disappearing gloop.
Yeah.
And that scene only lasted for a couple of seconds for them to get into the base, and then it was done.
Yeah, and you don't ever actually like see them like naked putting it on. Like there's no shots of their bodies or anything.
It's a cut from outside of the car while you hear them reacting to each other.
Yeah.
Now, that bit was a little bit annoying when they were like, "Oh, Sensei, don't touch me there."
Yeah, there's like little audio things like that occasionally, but
for the most part, it's not very fan service.
Visually it's not really problematic or inappropriate.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
Keep the male gaze out of my spy shows.
All the girls are very gay though, for each other.
Yeah.
Pretty much. They have a lot of Yuri baiting in the show, which is
yeah.
fine. It wasn't frustrating to me as it could be in some things.
First episode had a little bit of it, and then the next two episodes had pretty much none, and I was just thinking, there's not really much Yuri baiting, and then episode 4 happens, and I was like, okay, there's all the gay.
But it's not egregious,
No.
and it's not done to the point where it can be kind of... Because Yuri baiting sometimes for me can get a little bit annoying. Because it's like, if you're going to go there, just commit.
Yeah.
Which is a problem that I have with a lot of, not just Yuri baiting, but also just gay baiting in general that happens in anime. It's like, if you're going to put this in here, you need to actually commit to it. But it didn't bother me as much in this show, nor is it used really for fan service either. So, it wasn't like fetishizing female relationships.
Yeah.
So I was pretty chill with it. Do we have anything else to say in regards to production before we move on to final thoughts and ratings?
Nope.
No, I mentioned what I wanted to.
John?
No, I can't think of anything that we haven't already mentioned.
All right, I think I've thrown John under the bus a few too many times when we've come to ratings, but I get to go last, so I'm going to say Craig goes first.
So I watched this show, I'd say like maybe... Oh god, I don't even remember when I watched it anymore. A few months ago, I remember I binged it all. I watched it all in dub. By the by, the dub is fine. They are, again, Sentai and Sentai Filmworks is learning. I would say Hatsume's voice actress is oddly the only weak link. She has an accent. And she
In the English dub?
In the English dub, yes. She has an accent. She tries to hide it, and sometimes it breaks. And I'm like, that's odd. That aside, I like this show. Short and sweet to the point. I like this show. It's dumb fun. It's popcorn. You know what you're getting yourself into. The girls are good. The relationships between them are good. The enemies are one-dimensional and mustache-twirly, but at the end of the day, you like to see the hero's journey sort of thing. You know, you get a mission, and then you got to rise to the challenge, and I like to see the relationships grow throughout the show, and certain characters come out on top, essentially. So, yeah, I liked it.
So I like it?
Yep.
Cool. You're up, honey.
Yeah, so we started the show and then we kind of like fell off of it for several months. Like we watched the first 3 episodes and then didn't watch any until slightly before this review. But that's not because the show is bad. I just think it's not a super huge priority for me, but when I was watching it, I did enjoy my time with it. And there wasn't anything in it that particularly bothered me or, you know, made me upset. It was just good fun. It's a good show to watch when you need a break from all the, as we were talking about before, you know, trying to keep up with all the like super popular and, you know, discussion heavy shows. Release the Spyce was something nice to just kind of sit back with and relax to and not have to think so much. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed the action. I enjoyed the music. And yeah, so I gave it a like it and totally recommend it if you just need something easy to, you know, sit around with.
That's a good point.
John, you up?
As everyone said, it's a popcorn flick, effectively. Don't go into this expecting any like super deep intrigue. Don't expect it to be anything super groundbreaking, and you will just have a really enjoyable time. It's really fun, really enjoyable. Characters are fun, it's good. So yeah, I'm really glad I watched it, and I had a lot of fun with it. So I'm gonna give it a like it as well.
Cool. All right. On to me. So my rating for this show is a little complicated. Because I had to, like, sit myself down and be like, this show is an okay... Like, in regards to, like, all anime that I watch, it's an okay show.
Yeah.
It's not something I'm going to come back to anytime soon.
Yeah.
But then I thought about it, and I'm like, but can I really not give it a higher score just because it's popcorn? And then I'm like, no. I liked the show. I liked it a lot. And even though it's not a groundbreaking show, even though it's something that I wouldn't necessarily say, wow, this needs to be on people's top 10 lists or anything, it is something I feel like I could recommend to somebody if they're looking for something like this, if that makes sense. Like, if somebody came up to me and was like, listen, I just watched all of Rakugo and I just watched all of March Comes in Like a Lion because you won't shut up about it. and I just need something to, like, let me not cry for 5 minutes,
Yeah.
Release the Spyce might be one of the first things that come to mind. So that being said, I feel comfortable giving it a like it as well. So, hey, after a very scattered Yuki Yuno review, we're all on the same page.
We
It
are.
happens sometimes. So yeah, looks like it's across the board. As for a anime recommendation, we didn't talk about this before we started recording, which shows how prepared I am. But I think that the easiest one is Princess Principal.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's the other spy show. And I'm starting to learn, I actually probably would love to see more female spy anime shows. I know it's a niche, but I'd like to see more of it. Also, just to say, I think that I liked this show a little bit more than Princess Principal because it had a conclusive ending. It isn't as well animated as Princess Principal, and in some regards, it's not even as complicated as Princess Principal, but I think that's why I like it a little more in the end. So, if you liked this show, there's still more good in Princess Principal that I think you could get. It may not be as enjoyable, but I think it's still a very fantastic show for what it does. And the first half is phenomenal. So definitely give Princess Principal a watch if you liked Release the Spyce.
I think Princess Principal is getting a movie?
It's getting a
season?
series
A
of
second
movies.
season? Oh,
A series of movies.
Yeah, that's what it was. Series of movies. Yeah, so
Yeah.
there is still more coming to that at the very least, even if the ending is not your cup of tea.
And who knows, maybe I'll bite the bullet later and be like, or bite my tongue later and be like, oh, hey, with these movies, Princess Principal is a better show than Release the Spyce. But until that happens, I think they're both great shows. And if you like one, you'll probably like the other. Maybe more one than the other. But hey, you'll have fun either way. All right. Any closing thoughts, guys, before I start rattling off our social links?
No, that was about it.
Nah, I'm good.
All right, guys, so we are going to go into probably a short spoiler room after this because there's a few things I want to talk about. But before we do that, I wanted to go ahead and hit you guys with some social links before some of you might have to run out the door. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can do so at twitter.com/AnnieChatbox. And if you want to follow any of our personal Twitters, they typically are in the description. So check those out. We all like to retweet and chat on there, and I think we're slowly pulling John into the void. So we'll see. We'll probably be more active there. So if you like any of us individually, you can check us out there too. If you want to send us an email for us to read on the air or just discuss in general, you can do so at anniechatmail@gmail.com. If you're listening to us on one place, you can do so on many others. We are on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, SoundCloud, and YouTube. And if you find it in your heart of hearts to donate to us, we have our Patreon at patreon.com/AnnieChatbox. We revamped a couple of our tiers recently, and you can get early access, extra episodes, and even some other little goodies if you go over there and pay us some money. If you want, don't have to, but we always appreciate those who do. Speaking of those that do, Sarah, CorpsyAnn, Carol. I almost tried to combine your name there, Sarah. I'm so sorry. So Sarah, CorpsyAnn, Carol, Suki, and Paul have been donating to us and keeping the lights on, so thank you guys so much. If you love listening to Craig, and maybe Zach too, he's on here frequently enough for us to call him a regular guest host. If you love listening to them talk, you can listen to them more at soundcloud.com/saveourprogress. They have what used to be a gaming podcast if you listen to their early episodes, but more of a just multimedia podcast now. They do these things called anime movie nights, which they just released a new one of this week, and it was so much fun to listen to.
I was
Just
on that
saying.
one.
You were. We go over there. We're like a sister podcast. They're our Oni-chan. We hang out occasionally. So if you like us, and you especially like hearing those two, go check out soundcloud.com/saveourprogress. And with that said, thank you for listening to Annie Chatbox episode 107 if you're checking out. But if you're sticking around, we're going to slide into some spoiler room biz. So, I really liked that May was the traitor, and then she wasn't the traitor.
I called that from a mile away.
I called
it.
it. Okay, here's the thing. I didn't call that she was the traitor from a mile
No.
away
Yeah,
because they didn't give you enough to know.
There was nothing given to you. Like, I remember Cassie was asking me, like, "Oh, guess who the traitor is? Guess who the traitor is?" I'm like,
I mean, I wasn't that annoying about it. I just wanted to see who you thought.
I was like, they've given me nothing to make an educated guess. It's a shot in the dark.
I have got notes here like, who's the traitor, and then like the spice that Byaku used was the same type pebble type that Guy uses, but then that would be too bloody obvious to like have that kind of bigger piece of evidence. So like, that's probably a red herring, and it turns out it was because.
I think you thought about it more than they really even
I
wanted.
know.
Yeah, I thought about it way more than I
And
wanted
then it
you
turned
to.
out.
But I do like the reveal, though. I like how it's just her popping up and shooting people, like,
Yeah, like,
hey! And her voice actress did a really good job of playing that part as well. But the fact that she was a double agent, I called from a mile away, because I was
Yeah.
like, they're not gonna,
Have her be
like,
evil.
no.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way. That would be a complete like, even when she tried to play off, oh, it's totally part of my character to be a free spirit and just go with whatever, like, money comes my way, like, that's not something they presented as part of her personality at all. So it was like, okay, you're probably doing this and everybody will come around and you weren't really bad. And then it turns out she was just a double agent, which is totally a really typical thing to show up in spy shows anyway. So I was waiting for it anyway.
It was just
But-
it was a thing where I was watching it and everyone was taking it so seriously and was like, they were like, "Oh my god, how could she do this?" I'm like, man, this is so typical spy shit. This is so James Bond, Mission Impossible, even Metal Gear Solid. I'm just so conditioned to know what the end result is going to be out of this. But in the moment, the characters are so like, this is the end of the world.
Distressed.
Yep.
I just remember that picture. There's a shot of Momo in the chair, like with the bandana over her mouth,
Mhm.
like just looking so broken after what happens, and I was like, oh man, that's not gonna last. But whew,
Yeah,
these
it was
characters
intense.
are feeling it.
And I liked that. That was one of the plot twists I liked. Another thing I wanted to rant about for a second was I thought that the Teresia plotline was really badly utilized and implemented, and then her whole thing was, oh no, I got my arm slit, and I guess I'm gonna die, and then she's fine in the ending credits, so it's like, okay.
Yeah, her whole character was kind of a waste. I'd kind of, that's one of the few negatives I'd give this show, is that it spends too much time on her when really it would have been better without it.
Yeah. I understand she was supposed to be there to, like, build on Hatsumi's deal, but it just was poorly utilized and also had a poor conclusion. And I didn't care.
You abandoned me! I didn't abandon you! You didn't... We were trying to outreach you! Liar! I was bought by the enemy and you never tried to buy me back anyway! I was going to, dude, but you were bought already, so you
And we
disappeared.
couldn't come in contact with them to get you.
Fucking drama!
She was also a child, so it's like, how could she have figured out, like, that you were sold into a, like, human,
Yeah.
like, ring? Like, be reasonable about this, but, oh, hey, I just removed explosives that the enemy put in your body. Come to our side. We won't do that. No! No! I can't trust you!
Also, the bad guys mind wipe you, so are you sure you want that? No, I can't trust you!
Yeah.
Says that I'm going to die and at the end of the show. Hey, okay.
The only real thing that added was to make Goe slightly jealous, which led to a couple of interesting scenes, but otherwise it was a completely worthless plotline and they didn't need her.
You mean Goe literally hulking out and like destroying a building?
Yeah, it was cool, and I also liked her little scene afterwards where she's like, I love you, I want to be with you forever, let's hold hands and walk through a park. Not joking, by the way, literally what she said.
Please spend more time paying attention to me.
Well,
and that was cute.
Well, her master is in the hospital and she hugs her in the hospital bed. And I'm like, God, this shit is so fucking gay.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
How did you guys feel about the whole, oh, Shisho, I have to wipe your memories, sad, sad, cry, cry, cut to the new group of girls? Like, I was fine with it, but I was also like, this is the one bit of cheese that I'm not digesting very well.
This is the cheese in the show that I was like, what proof do you have that the Spice isn't working on Yuki anymore? Like, was this a prevalent thing throughout the show?
There was...
there was times where she uses it and then it wears
wore
out.
off really
Like, oh,
quickly
shit.
afterwards.
Yeah, it's wearing off quickly. They did it a few times before that reveal, but
That wasn't the problem I had with it. I just felt that it was unnecessary drama that they put at the end just to have it there when they didn't really need to.
Did she actually shoot
But-
her? Because if I remember correctly...
She did, but she still somehow remembers her later.
'Cause
Yeah, because she
smirks.
smiled.
she like smiles. She smiles, but there's kind of a scene that before this that kind of implies that the people who get their memory wiped still kind of know something. And the old lady that they mentioned before.
Yeah, there was a couple of times like, is the old lady an ex-member? Because they linger on her a little bit much at times.
Yeah, and then there's like a scene, I guess, like right before after they cure everybody from the poison gas or whatever, where it cuts to the old lady and she's just kind of like smiling, like knowingly.
Yeah, exactly.
So
But if memory serves, isn't there two types of operatives after the fact? Either the mind wiped or the retired? Like, isn't the cafe girl...
The cafe
like,
girl
the
is an
retired one?
ex-member, but she's still very much involved.
she
Okay.
She just
yeah,
can't
she
be
helps.
on the front line.
Okay, so...
kind of thing.
So it's never explicitly explained, those who get mind wiped still have an inkling as to the past.
No, I think it's just like a slight
adventures.
hint that maybe that's the case.
Yeah, it's just one of those, like, kind of things left in the air
Okay.
for you to kind of, like, smile about or think about slightly, and then, it kind of gives it that sort of, that air of mystery, I guess.
I just honestly would have felt better if they were like, oh, hey, I'm going to go off to study, because she mentioned she wanted to do that, and still occasionally help. But the reason why they did that was to immediately have her out of the way so that Momo would immediately kind of have to take on
Mentor role.
a pupil, like a pupil herself, which is fine, but I feel like they could have done it without that drama, I guess, is just how I feel.
Yeah.
But it's fine. It's fine. It's not horrible. I'm just like, okay.
Take the shot, Momo. I can't, master. Take the shot. You're always the coward. Damn you, you son of a bitch!
I mean, Craig's got it down.
I hate you so much. Anybody else have any spoilers they wanted to talk about? I just really had those two.
No, that was... we covered what I wanted to say.
Well, thank you guys who stuck around for a couple extra minutes, I guess, just to let us get some steam off. And thank you again for watching Annie Chatbox, or, well, listening, however you choose to digest us, I guess. Episode 107 of Annie Chatbox. We're going to get out of here and celebrate 420 or something.
I'd be really amazed if there's someone who just watches us on YouTube and stares very intently at the screen for the entire video. It's just like, yes.
Maybe they're blazed.
I mean, maybe.
By the way, we are recording this on 420, April 20th. At the time of this recording, me and Dominic are indeed releasing our own Spice, so I hope that those of you who decide to release the Spice today are very safe and careful about it and have great adventures and stare intently at our picture on YouTube, I guess. Goodbye, everyone. Oyasumi.
Bye.
Bye-bye.